Close Encounters in the Desert by Sylvia Brown. Now I'd like to tell you about an experience that my former husband and I had in Death Valley, California, back in the 1980s. We knew some friends who had talked to Francine and asked her when the next UFO sighting would be. Without hesitation, she told us what night and what area of Death Valley to visit to see it. One of our friends rented a very large RV, and we all packed up and set off for the designated rendezvous. We arrived at dark, even though we were supposed to wait until about midnight. Despite the fact that we were all very apprehensive, time soon arrived. Although I could have sworn that we parked on a flat road, when I got out of the RV, I felt like I'd somehow been drugged. Everything seemed to be tipped, as if I were suddenly on an incline, and I became very dizzy. Even Francine's voice seemed garbled and far away. I kept my mouth shut because I know only too well how suggestible people can be, but one by one, I watched each of my friends come out, and they all seemed to have the same experience. Even my husband exclaimed, "We didn't park on a hill. What's going on?" My dear friend Tia said the same thing, and that she also felt disjointed and dizzy. Francine then came through to tell me that gravity was being disrupted by the UFOs overhead. Although the moon and stars were the only things illuminating the dark desert night, I suddenly saw a tall figure appear in silhouette over this small hill. Francine said that each of us should meet him one at a time. I wondered why, but since I was somewhat disoriented, I didn't question her. One of the men in our group, whom I'll call D, wanted to go first. We all stood back and watched D approach. As he did, he kept calling back to see if he'd reached the figure yet. Apparently, we could see the figure, but he couldn't. Almost in unison, we yelled, "He's right next to you on the right!" We could see the two of them very close together, and when D came back, he said they communicated telepathically. I went next, and I could see the visitor. He was very tall and looked as if he had a type of helmet on, almost like Darth Vader with a metallic visor. I asked, "Where do you come from?" "You cannot see it in your telescopes. My planet, PX41, is beyond the Andromeda galaxy," he said. "Why did you come here?" "To see what you have done with your planet." "You must be very disappointed," I remarked. "No, I am more confused at what you people do to each other." "Where's your ship?" "Right above you," he said. I couldn't see anything and told him so. He said, "We have a device that hides our ship. Because of our speed and a type of shield, we are not detected on your very primitive radars." "Why did you come to us?" I asked. "Maybe someday you will write that we are not here to hurt your planet, but rather to observe and help," he responded. As we came back together, every person in the group had a different story. Each encounter had been profound, and we all felt energized and comforted at the same time. As we stood by the RV, we noticed that a huge streak had appeared in the sky, which quickly vanished. The coyotes that were so still now began to let out a crescendo of noise that I've never heard before. They seemed to be surrounding us, so we quickly decided to get back into the RV. Once inside, nobody spoke for a long time. We were all lost in our own thoughts. We were able to confirm that all of us had the same feelings and visuals, but each had received a different message. We called the alien Mr. X, and to this day, I'm not sure if anybody else in the group has ever talked about it. It was such a profound experience, one that's as real to me today as it was then.